Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Despite the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC's promise to ensure free and fair elections, Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, in a 16-page letter released to the public on Sunday, raised doubts over the impartiality of the commission in the forthcoming general election, saying, quote, I personally have serious doubts about the present INEC's integrity, impartiality, and competence to conduct a free, fair, and credible election. The transmission and collation of results are subject to interference, manipulation, and meddling. The former president further cited the Osun State gubernatorial election as an example, saying that the commission declared a conclusive election inconclusive because it was not in favor of the ruling party. This statement comes on the heels of concerns raised by the United States government about the neutrality of Nigeria's security services in the forthcoming elections. The U.S. government has urged the security forces to ensure non-interference with the voting public and poll watchers. These concerns beg the question again about INEC's readiness for the 2019 elections. Joining us now to respond to the concerns raised by the former president, as well as that of political parties in Nigeria over the election guidelines released by the commission, is INEC's National Commissioner of Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye. Welcome to the morning show, Mr. Okoye.
Thank you very much.
Now let's start with the fact that INEC has issued guidelines. Guidelines, by their very definition, are not binding, neither are they enforceable. Is this actually an appropriate framework from which to deliver free, fair, and credible elections?
No, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, and all the other amendments that have been affected on the Electoral Act gives the Independent National Electoral Commission the power and the authority to issue regulations, guidelines, and manuals for the conduct of elections. It also gives the Independent National Electoral Commission the power and authority to decide on the procedure and processes for the conduct of elections. So the Supreme Court of Nigeria has interpreted the guidelines and regulations issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission as forming part of the law. And to that particular extent, our guidelines and regulations and manuals are part of the legal framework for the conduct of elections. So it is legal.
Well, this is one election that will be an intense media event. How prepared is INEC?
Well, we are getting ready. The conduct of elections in Nigeria is a constitutional matter. It is also a legal matter, and it's also backed by our rules and our regulations. We have, on the 9th day of January 2018, we released the timetable and schedule of activities for the conduct of this particular election. And we have followed to the letter the timetable and schedule of activities, and we have delivered on all the activities so far. As of today, the contract for the printing of sensitive materials has been awarded. Our non-sensitive materials are already arriving and are being distributed to the various INEC offices nationwide. So, and the smart card readers are also being distributed. We are harvesting ad hoc staff that will be involved in the conduct of the elections, and all these ones are being trained as I speak today. So we are getting ready, and we will deliver on our mandate.
Let us now look at the concerns raised by the former president Olusegun Obasanjo yesterday. He talks about the neutrality, the competence of INEC to deliver a free, fair, credible election. In particular, he mentioned something about collation officers being recruited to rig the election. How does INEC respond to this?
Well, President Olusegun Obasanjo was a former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and also a former president. So when he speaks, we should take whatever he says with some level of concern. We have read the statement he released and some of the issues he raised in relation to INEC. We are going to study carefully all his concerns, and if we find out that there are issues in his statement that requires the Independent National Electoral Commission to take action on, we are going to take action on some of those issues. So we are going to take some of his concerns and some of the issues he raised on board. But in relation to the issue of collation officers, now we have different categories of collation officers. All the collation officers that will be recruited by the Independent National Electoral Commission are going to come from federal tertiary institutions in Nigeria. In fact, the collation officers for the presidential election are going to be drawn from vice chancellors of federal tertiary institutions in Nigeria. We just finished a meeting with the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Federal Tertiary Institutions in Nigeria, and we're also going to train them, despite the fact that almost all of them are professors. None of them knows where he or she is going to go. So as of today, the collation officers have not even been recruited, they have not even been harvested, and they have not even been assigned to any state of the federation. So the issue of using them to rig elections does not even arise. Those who conduct elections, the real managers of elections, are the presiding officers in all the polling units in Nigeria. And as of today, they are being recruited, and are going to be recruited from the bulk of members of the National Youth Service Corps, and then the shortfall will be recruited from students of federal tertiary institutions in Nigeria. And so that process is ongoing as of today.
Now, another concern that was raised by the former president, as well as the coalition of political parties, as well as the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, is this issue of continuous accreditation and voting that has been introduced in this INEC guidelines. There's been a lot of negative reaction to this as a way of manipulating, a way of rigging. What is your comments about this, and why was this instituted or codified formally?
Now, when the Independent National Electoral Commission decided to retouch the regulations and guidelines for the conduct of the 2019 elections, the draft was forwarded to all the political parties registered in Nigeria, whose email addresses and whose addresses are deposited with the Independent National Electoral Commission. 10 days after the guidelines and regulations were forwarded to them, we also had a stakeholder meeting with all the registered political parties, where we handed over a draft of those guidelines and regulations, and also handed over to them the register of voters that will be used for the conduct of the 2019 general elections. All of them made input orally and in writing. We also consulted with civil society groups and organizations. They made their own inputs. We also consulted with the media. They made their own inputs. After we collected all this, we decided to put everything together and took a second look at the regulations and guidelines and amended it extensively to conform to a very good document that will be used for the conduct of elections. But more fundamentally, the regulations are made so that the Nigerian people will have a pleasant voting experience at the polling units. So for me, the Nigerian people are the focus of those guidelines, and I believe that we have taken them into consideration in fashioning the regulations and guidelines. In relation to the issue of continuous accreditation and voting, the separate accreditation and voting was used for the 2015 elections. After the 2015 elections and after all the audit that was carried out, it was found out that over 2 million Nigerians participated in the accreditation process and did not participate in the voting process. And these political parties met with the Independent National Electoral Commission, together with civil society groups and organizations, and insisted that the issue of separate accreditation and voting should be abolished, and that Nigeria should return to the issue of consolidated accreditation and voting. And the Independent National Electoral Commission took that on board and started the issue of simultaneous accreditation and voting. And this simultaneous accreditation and voting has been used since in fact, it has been used since the first election in Bayelsa in 2015, and has also been used for the 6 off-season gubernatorial elections that have been conducted, and has also been used in over 180 other elections that the Independent National Electoral Commission has conducted between 2015 and today. So I believe that the Nigerian people are already used to it. Farmers are insisting that if we do separate accreditation and voting, we are going to disrupt whatever they are going to do on election day. So I think that there's some level of unanimity among the ordinary Nigerians that they prefer continuous accreditation and voting.
Is it not a function of voter education that the electorate is told to make the sacrifice of a few hours so that the elections are free, fair, and credible, such that it's worth sacrificing your time to ensure that you are accredited, each polling station knows the number, then you come back? Because, yes, you cited statistics. It's actually 2.3 million Nigerians were accredited and did not come back later to vote. But was it because they were not sensitized? Was it because they were not fully educated?
Well, there were some Nigerians who thought that the accreditation process completes the voting process, and they did not turn up. There were also some Nigerians who felt that they needed to go and use their time for other purposes and did not turn up. But since the time we have been doing continuous accreditation and voting, the turnout has improved, and the Nigerian people have been having a very pleasant voting experience. But one other thing that we need to take into consideration is that, unlike before, we now have 91 political parties in Nigeria. And out of these 91 political parties, 73 political parties are going to contest the presidential elections. The implication is that we have a bigger ballot paper. We are going to also have more political parties to process. So we are also looking at a situation where all the election processes will be concluded at least by 4 p.m. and then the sorting and counting of votes will commence. We don't want a situation where UCOR members, presiding officers, and assistant presiding officers will be in very remote areas at midnight, still sorting and counting of votes. We don't want that to happen. So I really believe that the issue of continuous accreditation and voting will be in the best interest of the Nigerian people, and also we guarantee the conclusion of elections on time and the counting and the sorting and counting of votes, so that the Nigerian people will, as expeditiously as possible, know who the winner of any election is.
All right, let's also look at another area of fear cited by the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and citing the case study of the Osun election now, where it was generally agreed that it was a conclusive election, but INEC declared it inconclusive. Now, how can you reassure Nigerians that the same will not happen during the forthcoming general presidential election on February the 16th?
Unfortunately, I'm very, very hesitant as a senior lawyer in making comments relating to the issues from the Osun elections, because the issue is pending before an election petitions tribunal as of today. And the issue of the INEC principle relating to margin of lead and the issue of whether the election should have been declared or whether it was conclusive or inconclusive is part of the issues before the court. But the truth of the matter is that, based on our processes and based on our procedures, which has been affirmed by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, if in any election INEC is unable to deploy to three polling units with 1,000 votes, and we didn't deploy, and then a candidate that is leading in an election is leading by 300 votes, and then there is 1,000 votes outstanding in a place where we have not conducted elections, the processes and procedures that has been affirmed by the Supreme Court says that we should not make a declaration and a return until election has taken place in those polling units with 1,000 votes, because the votes from that particular polling unit has the tendency and has the capacity to affect the outcome of the elections. And that is exactly what we did. But since the matter is before the tribunal, and since it's before it may also go up to the Supreme Court, we will await the verdict of the court to know whether we are right or whether we are wrong.
Another area of concern was security. He talks about the security operatives who are supposed to secure the elections that day, subverting the will of the people and those who have come to monitor the elections. How much of an interaction or engagement is INEC having with security officials, security agencies, especially the police, which is empowered to secure voting that day?
Well, you know, the conduct of elections is a multi-stakeholder venture involving the Independent National Electoral Commission, involving the various political parties, involving the security agencies, involving civil society groups and organizations, involving the media and a whole variety and array of stakeholders. In relation to the issue of security, the new Inspector General of Police has assured the Independent National Electoral Commission and has also assured the Nigerian people that the Nigerian police force and the other security agencies will remain professional and ethical in the conduct of the 2019 elections. And later today, the Independent National Electoral Commission will have a meeting with the Inspector General of Police and all the commissioners of police from all the states of the Federation. And just last week, we also had interaction with the National Security Advisor and all the heads of the various security agencies in relation to the issue of deployment and in protecting the electoral environment to enable the Independent National Electoral Commission conduct good elections. So we are interacting with them, and they are also reassuring the Nigerian people that they have the capacity, the competence, and the professionalism to secure the electoral environment so that INEC can conduct good elections.
Now, apart from your margin of lead principle, which you just clarified, another area that's causing some confusion is technical issues with the PVCs and smart card readers. Now, the guidelines have highlighted different situations, including what happens when a voter with a PVC is not on the voter register, when the smart card fails to read the PVC. What is the procedure? Can you take us through it?
Now, I think the procedures are very, very clear, and the procedure has been clearly simplified and clearly outlined in the regulations and guidelines released by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The baseline of the process is that any voter who approaches the polling unit to cast his or her vote must have his or her name on the voter's register. So if you did not register in the first place, you have no business going to the polling units. The second is that the voter must have a permanent voter's card issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The moment a permanent voter's card is slotted into the card reader and the card reader is unable to read that permanent voter's card, the voter is with a permanent voter's card not issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission. And if the presiding officer is satisfied that the permanent voter's card is cloned or belongs to somebody else, the presiding officer may order for the arrest of the holder of that particular card. So the issue is that your name must be on the voter's register. The smart card reader must read your permanent voter's card. The information on your permanent voter's card must correspond to the information on the voter's register. If these two do not correspond, you will not be allowed to vote in the election, and you'll be sent away.
Well, there are also concerns about the unfettered access given to the 12 national commissioners to the e-collation portal. Is INEC in any way going to change this?
Let me just state this for the avoidance of doubt. The Independent National Electoral Commission, we conduct the 2019 elections based on the regulations and the guidelines that have been issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission. After the sorting of votes and after the counting of votes, the presiding officer must announce the scores of the candidates at the polling unit. After announcing the scores of the candidates, the presiding officer must also enter the scores in Form EC8A. Thereafter, the presiding officer must, and he's under an obligation, to also set out the scores of the candidates and the political parties in Form EC60E and paste same at a conspicuous place at the polling unit for everybody to see the scores. Thereafter, it will go to the collation center. What will be transmitted to the INEC portal will be the result that has already been released at the polling unit. And that transmission is just for INEC's internal processes and internal procedures because we are still piloting. There's a possibility that we'll only pilot in a few states just to be sure that we are getting ready for the electronic transmission of results. But the electronic transmission of results is not a dominant procedure of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And that transmission is just for pilot purposes and for INEC's internal consumption, so that when we now go fully into electronic transmission, we will not be found wanting.
Mr. Okoye, don't you think that the Commission is responsible for some of these criticisms and doubts that it is receiving at this time? For instance, what is the process of redeploying a staff at INEC? A particular example of Amina Zachary that has generated so much traction. Why is INEC bent on Amina Zachary heading the collation committee? This whole issue of Amina Zachary has become just a redundant issue. I am a member of that particular committee as a chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Professor Simbine, who heads the political parties monitoring, is also a member of that particular committee. Our mandate and our assignment is very clear. It's readiness assurance in relation to putting the venue in place. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission is the chief electoral officer of the Federation, and he is also the returning officer in the presidential election. And he does not share that particular position and that particular, he doesn't share it with anybody. Secondly, all the political parties will be allowed into the venue where the presidential election results will be declared. Security agencies will be allowed in. The media will broadcast the transmission of broadcast the results in real time. Everybody will be there. The only thing we have been asked to do Mr. Okoye,
at the collation center,
the INEC chairman is the chief returning officer of the election, but he does not collect and he does not see to that. He only announces the election results.
The election results are not collected, are collected from the states. The various vice chancellors that will be recruited by the Independent National Electoral Commission are going to be in the various states, and they are going to be the collation officers at the state level. It is the results that they collect at the state level that they will come from the various states to Abuja at the Presidential Collation Center and hand over and announce it publicly for everything to hear. The truth of the matter is that before the results even come to Abuja, all the registered political parties are in possession of the result. Immediately the polls are closing. Every political party that has deployed poll officials or party agents to the various polling units, we have the results. So what we do in Abuja is only to receive, and we don't do much really. By the time it comes here, every political party already has the results.
But nothing stops the person in charge of the collation center in Abuja from tampering with those results if the person has a source code. And the recent allegation that my colleague had earlier raised is that the 12 national commissioners have unfettered access to the collation portal.
No, this collation portal you are talking about relates to the issue whether INEC is engaged in electronic transmission of results. The law relating to the electronic transmission of results or the bill was not assented to. So INEC is not engaged in electronic transmission of results for the 2019 elections. The results will still be collected manually. What we are doing is that we are going to select a few states where we are still going to pilot the electronic transmission of results so that when eventually the bill is signed into law, we will not be caught wanting in terms of testing our processes and our procedures and making sure that we have complete network coverage in all the states of the Federation, and also making sure that issues around security of our portal and issues around security of our processes and procedures have been taken care of. So the issue of INEC national commissioners interfering with the collation process does not even arise, because the results will be transmitted manually from the polling units to the registration area collation centers and to the various local governments, to the states, and then to the Federal Capital Territory for the national collation.
Now, if the Electoral Act does not provide for electronic collation and you decide to conduct a pilot, will the results that you collect from that pilot not be invalidated since it's not backed by law?
No. There is nothing. There's nothing in the Electoral Act and there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the Independent National Electoral Commission cannot do pilot. In fact, we have been piloting electronic transmission of results for a long time, trying to improve on the processes and improve on the procedures so that we are not caught off guard. We piloted electronic transmission of results during the Ekiti elections. We piloted electronic transmission of results during the even off-season by-elections in Katsina, and also even in the elections in the governorship elections in Osun State. So we've been piloting. There is no law that says that we cannot pilot. There's no law that says that we cannot test run some of the processes and procedures and some of the equipment that we are going to use either now or in future elections. There's no law that says that.
Well, still talking about this e-collation portal being tampered with, is it a fact that they no longer show location, time, and date of results?
Well, I think that what will solve some of these concerns and some of these problems is that the moment the collation center is fully set up, and the moment we have our situation room and all the processes and procedures are in place, we are going to invite select number of international and domestic observers and the media to come and see what we really do at the situation room and at the collation center to dispel all these things. There's nothing untoward, there's nothing hidden, and there's nothing mystical about what happens at the collation center or at the situation room. What we normally do is, if, for instance, there's a challenge relating to the movement of materials to a particular location, we have telephone lines, we have hotlines where we will intervene and make sure that materials get to a particular polling unit on time. That's what really happens at the situation room, to make sure that things move in accordance with the way we have designed it. So we are going to allow people to come and just have a feel at what we do at the situation room to see that nothing untoward goes on in the situation room.
When will this be? When will you invite journalists to come and view this e-collation portal?
No, we are still setting up the International Conference Center. We have not moved into the International Conference Center as of today. What we are doing is to go there and decide where we are going to keep, where the media center will be, and where the journalists will be transmitting or sending their news from. We're also deciding where the security people will be, where the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission will be at that particular time, where national commissioners will be, the number of security agents that will be required, the quantum of feeding that they will require at that particular time, the type of accommodation that we are going to provide for collation officers that are going to arrive from various states of the Federation. Those are the things we are doing now. So the moment we move into the International Conference Center preparatory to the elections, we are going to inform the nation and inform the media that we are in.
Well, not long ago, the INEC chairman raised an alarm over political parties or politicians buying PVCs. Can you tell us if arrests have been made in this regard? Can you also tell us if this happens to fall through the crack? If people do buy PVCs, can they use them to vote? I mean, you have said the PVC has to be, there's no voting by proxy. Can INEC assure that even if these politicians or unscrupulous people get the PVCs of other people, they won't be able to use them to rig the elections?
Well, our assurance to the Nigerian people is that only persons whose names are on the voters' register and only PVCs that are properly verified that will be used for voting during the 2019 elections. And we have also imputed in the regulations and guidelines that if there's any dispute relating to somebody at the polling unit or a holder of a PVC, that the presiding officer must consult the party agents at the polling unit before the person will be allowed to vote. On the issue of buying up of PVCs, I really think that the media should approach the political parties and the candidates or the aspirants buying up these PVCs to find out from them why they are buying and what they intend to do with these PVCs. The Independent National Electoral Commission does not buy. and does not sell permanent voters cards. But what we have done is that in places where we suspect that there are issues relating to people trying to induce or buy PVCs, we have reported to the various security agencies who have the mandate, the power, and the constitutional authority to make an arrest. So for me to really get information relating to whether arrests have been made or whether prosecution has commenced, you have to get in touch with the various resident electoral commissioners in the various states of the Federation. And we have a meeting with the various resident electoral commissioners in a few days' time, and we get an update in relation to some of those issues.
Still on the issue of PVCs, according to INEC's regulations, you're going to stop the collection of PVCs 10 days prior to the elections, and then you will now announce how many PVCs have been collected. The uncollected PVCs will be in the custody of INEC. What is the plan for disposal?
No. We don't dispose of PVCs because these are sensitive security documents. What we have said is that from the 16th day of this month, January, to the 21st day of January, we have decentralized the collection of PVCs to the various registration areas or wards throughout the Federation. And we have over 8,000 of these registration wards. And people are now going to go and collect their PVCs. In fact, the reports we've been receiving from various states of the Federation indicates that more people are turning up to come and collect their PVCs because we have adopted creative and innovative methods and procedures of making sure that more people come to collect their PVCs. But we insist that nobody will collect by proxy. Now, after the 21st day of this month, the collection will still continue at the various local government offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission up to the 8th of February. After the 8th of February, we will assemble all uncollected PVCs and then make a determination of the number of uncollected PVCs. Thereafter, we will inform the nation of the number of uncollected PVCs in each state of the Federation. And then we will, through a stakeholders meeting, decide whether we should quarantine these PVCs with the central bank, where we normally keep ballot papers and result sheets and so on and so forth, or whether those things should be harvested and stored in the offices of the resident electoral commissioners of the various states of the Federation. But we are going to inform all the stakeholders, and then we take a decision on where these uncollected PVCs will be kept.
Well, the two things that will be used for this election are PVCs and smart card readers. And we all know the problems that smart card readers have, challenges the smart card readers have had in previous elections. So we want to know that now, have you tried to make sure that these smart card readers have passed standard tests, so there will not be issues of it not working on election day?
The PVCs that we used during the 2015 elections are not of the standard that will be used for this election. The PVCs were introduced for the first time in Nigeria during the 2015 elections. And there were also challenges. Some of the presiding officers could not use the PVCs. In some places, there was poor network, and there were all sorts of challenges with the PVCs. We have taken all the issues on board. We have enhanced the power of the PVC. We have also increased the power of the PVCs, and it can last longer now. And so the PVCs that we have been using in all the off-season elections has been greatly improved. So the issue of malfunction has been reduced to barest minimum. But we are not leaving it at that. What we have done and what we are going to do and what we will continue to do is that in all the registration areas, we are going to have at least 4 to 5 backup PVCs in case there's any challenge with PVC malfunction, in which case we can get to the polling unit in between 5 and 10 minutes. And we have also trained RATECs, or registration area technical officers, who can intervene speedily if there's a PVC malfunction, if there's a smart card reader malfunction. Now, part of our guideline and part of our procedure is that if we have tried to rectify a particular PVC and the malfunction continues up to 2 p.m., we will undermine the election and then redo the election the following day. So, but we really don't envisage up to 0.5% malfunction of the PVC. And wherever it the smart card reader, and wherever it malfunctions, we have the capacity and we have the backup to deal with this situation expeditiously.
Mr. Okay, in one sentence, if you can and if you may, 25 days to the presidential election, what would you say is the biggest challenge INEC is facing at this time?
The biggest challenge is the challenge of trust. We want the Nigerian people to believe that this Independent National Electoral Commission has the courage, has the capacity, and has the willpower to deliver on its mandate. And we assure the nation that we will deliver.
Well, and that trust will only be gotten if INEC is seen to be fair. Festus Okoye, National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, INEC, would like to thank you for joining us on the morning show this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's time now for a short break. When we come back, the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, will be joining us to speak on former President Olusegun Obasanjo's allegations against the President. Stay with us.